We are fading these 10 players everywhere in fantasy football and best ball leagues. We're going to go through these players. We're going to give you our data that we've gathered as to why we are fading them, and then we're maybe going to have some discussion and debate about it. So you'll want to stick around for this video. Do us a huge favor, drop a like on the video, and make sure you are also subscribed. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, so help us get there. Join the community and subscribe. And if you want our exclusive content, make sure you head over to flockfantasy.com/domain. When you use code DOMAIN, you get 30% off. You get our rankings, articles, Discord. If you choose the Mother Flocker tier, you get a team review video from us of your fantasy team, and you can get in a listener league with us. So like I said, flockfantasy.com/domain. The first guy that we are fading everywhere, and when I say we, it's like some of us, is Travis Etienne.
Yeah, so Travis Etienne currently, according to Underdog, going at RB14. And I think some people are really excited about his price there. I think that his upside is going to be high, but I would beg to differ with the historical Doug Peterson committee backfield, which is absolutely no joke. I mean, when you look at his 5-year stint in Philadelphia, you've got from 2016 to 2020, 155 carries, 173 carries, 120, 179, and 164 carries respectively for those lead running backs in those offenses. So it's pretty clear that in Doug P's offenses, your lead back's getting ideally about 170 carries. So when you look at those guys that are producing at a high level in the NFL with 170 carries, you're looking at guys like Aaron Jones, you're looking at guys like Tony Pollard. And I mean, what did they do with those types of workloads? Well, Aaron Jones had 171 attempts in 2021, 4.7 yards per carry and 52 receptions at 15.3 points per game, which was RB11 on a points per game basis. And then in 2022, you see Pollard having 193 attempts for 5.2 yards per carry and 39 receptions for 15.6 points per game at running back 8. And I think that's what people are kind of anticipating for Etienne. That could be his ceiling, maybe no higher than a low-end running back 1, but I don't really want to take my shot with Etienne there at running back 14 when you see the historical production of running backs in Doug Peterson's offense. Doug Peterson, more than any time that he has before, gave Etienne way more carries than he ever did in Philadelphia from 2016 to 2020. Etienne last season, 220 carries, and he only put up 12.1 points per game, finishes the RB23 overall. And in 2022, being 9th in the NFL in red zone touches with 45, only putting up 12.1 points per game, that's pretty disappointing. And I think that's pretty indicative of why the Jaguars decided to draft Tank Bigsby in the 3rd round. You're probably going to see Etienne get back to this average of about 170 carries in a Doug Peterson offense, and maybe see a guy behind like Tank Bigsby take away some of those carries in the red zone. I understand the BMI argument, but I think it's enough to really cap Etienne's ceiling, where he's probably going to be no better than what he has been or proven to be in the past, which is, a mid to low end running back too. I just don't like the price here. A feature back in a Doug Peterson offense isn't really saying much, historically speaking. Yeah. So I want to hear Simon's counterpoint.
Yeah, let's hear the rebuttal. I'm not here. I'm going to kind of preface something real quick.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I think all the numbers point towards Nathan's argument being very, very accurate. So I want to hear your numbers.
I have a completely serious reason why.
I either want it to be it's a gut feeling or it's...
So Etienne averaged 12.1 points per game, but it's just because there's now 18 weeks in an NFL season. Don't do the math. I actually agree now. I hadn't heard his argument yet.
I was going to say, that was really convincing.
Funny.
Yeah.
Good job, Nathan.
Oh, thanks, man.
All right. Changed my mind.
Am I doing Aiyuk?
Swift too. Yeah, you're on Aiyuk.
Brandon Aiyuk is the wide receiver 28 off the board. That was really funny. In underdog leagues, he has wide receiver 1 upside any given week. But yet still, it's pretty rare. He only cracked top 24 numbers 5 times last season, which, that's not great. His ADP has only reflected his production 6 times last season. That's at wide receiver 28. The key here, in our opinion, is going to be Deebo Samuel. It was very clear last year that Deebo Samuel was not himself. So he had 5 total touchdowns, and he had 14 total touchdowns in 2021. the most likely scenario, and we're predicting this in our rankings too, PPR rankings and best ball rankings, is that Deebo Samuel's likely to find a middle ground with his production this season. Aiyuk really did feed off the uncharacteristic lack of production from Deebo last season, and he was still, you have to understand this with Aiyuk, he was still wildly inconsistent. I mean, by pretty much every definition of the word consistent. Yes, he does have high week-to-week upside, so that makes him a little bit of a better best ball pick. But given his inconsistency, I don't think he's worth the price at wide receiver 28 with a fully healthy Deebo Samuel going into this season. And I think you and I are going to agree with this, but I think we'd both take Deebo pretty comfortably at that price instead of Brandon
Instead
Aiyuk.
of Aiyuk.
Oh, absolutely.
But you like Aiyuk, though.
Yeah.
I think Aiyuk is a good wide receiver, and when you're taking him as a mid wide receiver 3, I'm completely fine with that. I mean, it's not like he's being drafted at wide receiver 20. You know,
Right. But to counter your counterpoint, here's the guys going around Brandon Aiyuk at the wide receiver position who I'm hands down taking all these guys over
you
Aiyuk.
to do this. Okay, yes.
DeAndre Hopkins.
Bad offense.
Give me Hopkins.
Hopkins.
Christian Kirk. Give me Christian Kirk. Deontay Johnson. Give me Deontay Johnson. Chris Godwin.
Bad
give me
offense.
Godwin. But give me Godwin. He's the actual target hog there.
Yes.
You know what
Godwin's
I'm saying?
miles ahead of a
Marquise Brown, easy. Michael Pittman, easy for me.
No. I'm not taking either of them. And the reason why is just I trust what Kyle Shanahan is going to do in San Francisco. He's going to utilize Aiyuk. Even when Aiyuk was playing on the field with Deebo Samuel in 2021, by the end of the year, he actually, he was coming alive again. He had 3 wide receiver 1 finishes in his last 10 weeks.
And I'll give you that. He played well when Brock Purdy was at his best. And I think we would all assume, as most people are assuming now, that Brock Purdy is going to be the starter in San Francisco for the foreseeable future once he's healthy. But again, I mean, you're accounting for the fact that Deebo Samuel is going to probably keep doing what he did last season.
Guess who else is?
And if you like Deebo's price where he's going right now, and you're saying Aiyuk could do what he did last season, I think that's accounting for Deebo doing what he did in his disappointing season.
It's not. We make this argument all the time. In a potent offense with many weapons, it makes producing easier for the guys around you, because look at what A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith do for each other. The defense cannot just plan around one player, and you've got four dynamic players in San Francisco. You have Christian McCaffrey with a 20% target share. You have George Kittle with a 20% target share. You have Deebo Samuel, 25%. Brandon Aiyuk also like a 20% target share.
These guys, who's the 4th best threat of those 4?
That was going to be my point. I think Aiyuk of those 4 guys would be the odd man out there. Would you agree? Who do you think is the odd man out of those 4
Who do you
guys?
think's the worst talent?
The worst talent?
Yeah.
No, I don't even put it that way. If one of those guys had to be the odd man out, who would you predict?
It's Aiyuk, because you have Kittle. He's the tight end one. And I'm not, but I'm saying at wide receiver 28 on a really good offense. And what if one of those guys gets hurt? It's not that unlikely that one of those 3 guys gets hurt. Then he's right back in there and he's producing well.
Deebo is definitely 28. Deebo is definitely not exempt from injury. That is
Kittle. And
that's probably the biggest point to your case.
Yep, but
we all see each other's sides, so that's when we're successful.
Yeah. Oh, we're so successful. And the next guy hasn't really been super successful, and that's T. Higgins. He's going as the wide receiver. I had to. He's going as the wide receiver 14. Let's look at T. Higgins week 1 2021 through week 18 2022. So the last 2 seasons, 23% of the time he was a wide receiver 1. Not bad. 27% of the time he was a wide receiver 2. The other 62% of the time he was either a wide receiver 3 or worse,
outside the top 25,
inactive.
Wow.
62% of the time he's outside of the top 24 wide receivers. So excuse us if we're comfortable taking T. Higgins when he's at wide receiver 21. But at wide receiver 14, I mean, the dude is going in the 2nd or 3rd round. There are so many guys. When I'm looking at Underdog's ADP, and I'm going to read these guys off, and I want you guys to tell me who you're taking here. And I'm looking for T. Higgins in this list. Are you taking Patrick Mahomes or T. Higgins?
Patrick Mahomes.
Devonta Smith.
Devonta Smith.
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry.
Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah.
Actually, Ramondre.
Yeah, and that's coming from Nathan,
Ramondre.
and that's a pretty big deal. Jalen Hurts.
I'll take Hurts.
Josh Allen.
I'll take Josh Allen.
Josh Jacobs.
Yes.
I think you've proven your point.
At cost.
There's an outlier here.
Wait, I wanted to keep going.
No, I think we made our point. But Even, when you're looking at, he's projected for less points than Devonta Smith. He's projected for less points than Tony Pollard. He's projected for less points than Patrick Mahomes. He's projected for far less points than Derrick Henry, less points than Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen, less points than Ramondre Stevenson. He's projected for less points than Josh Jacobs. Even going down the list, I think he's projected only 6 more points than DK, but DK is like literally 8 spots down from that. Mark Andrews is trailing behind. That's when it starts to fall off. But again, like some of the guys that are going behind him are actually projected for more points. So why does T. Higgins get pushed up the boards every year? Because he's tied to Joe Burrow and because he's the elite wide receiver too. And you know what I'll
take the elite wide receiver or running back 1 going in that range.
Absolutely. And if I'm taking a wide receiver 2 there, it's Devonta Smith. It's a guy who's actually produced over a full season, yes, as a wide receiver 1. I mean, Devonta Smith played a full season and was a wide receiver 1. And you can make the argument all you want. Well, on a points per game basis, and again, I don't super care. Points per game, especially in best ball leagues, not really something that I'm looking at and putting a ton of weight into. So with T. Higgins, very talented receiver. I think that this would absolutely be a different conversation, and everybody knows this if he were on his own team. That said, T. Higgins hasn't really shown that he's going to produce as a high-end wide receiver 2, low-end wide receiver 1 yet. So I'm definitely not drafting there, and I'm definitely not drafting him ahead of guys like Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs. So, and I know you guys both agree with that.
Yes.
So, all right, let's bolt through these ones real quick.
Next, we have Kadarius Toney being drafted as wide receiver 39, and you say, "Oh, well, he's being drafted as a wide receiver 4." I mean, that's pretty decent. Playing with Patrick Mahomes, you want pieces of the Kansas City offense, I guess. We're not talking about the Kansas City Chiefs in 2020, where the pieces are Kareem Hunt and Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. I guess that was in 2019. Right here, Kadarius Toney, he's not the wide receiver 1 in Kansas City. You're hearing it here first, and I know you. Other
Sleeper
places,
told me that he was,
but they still have Sky Moore. They just drafted Rashee Rice. There's still Travis Kelce, and there's still Jerick McKinnon. So Kadarius Toney is, until he proves it to us, he's not the wide receiver 1 in Kansas City. He has repeatedly gotten hurt, and yes, don't bet on a player getting injured. We're just not buying him here.
Yeah. And then next up on our list here is going to be Tyler Lockett at wide receiver 33. And you might be thinking that this is a bit aggressive of us, especially seeing Lockett's production last season being a high-end wide receiver 2, low-end wide receiver 1 when he was playing. This to us is the same situation as Keenan Allen. We really like their outlook for the first half of the season, but seeing the trend of rookie wide receivers of recent years, they produce more than we're expecting them, first round wide receivers, and they're ready to go, and they really come off at the end of the season, especially. So when you're looking at best ball, when you're looking at winning money and you're looking at winning championships, look at Jackson Smith and Jigba and Quentin Johnson and what they could do at the end of the season. I think while Keenan Allen and Tyler Lockett could start really well at the beginning of the season, they're probably going to fade out and slow down a bit towards the end of the year. And we're not in the business of predicting injury, but Lockett and Allen both have shown to struggle with injury for the past couple of seasons as well, specifically last year. And that really impacted us in fantasy leagues as well. So we're a bit worried about that at their price this year.
Dak Prescott is the next guy on this list. He's going as the QB 12. In his career, Dak Prescott has finished in points per game as the QB 9, 11, 16, 3, 9, and 13. So yes, he normally does hover around that low in QB 1 finish. The difference isn't even his performance and his history. It's simply his price compared to the guys he's going around.
Yeah, the upside.
Let's play the ADP game again. He's going back-to-back with Anthony Richardson. Who are you guys taking in best ball?
AR. He's got more upside.
Guys, that's a no-brainer to me. Who are you taking, Kirk Cousins or Dak? This one's interesting. I thought about it. I'm taking Kirk.
I'll take Captain Kirk.
Especially when you look at their ADP and the fact you can get Kirk so much later.
Yeah.
Yes, I'll take Kirk.
Daniel Jones.
Yeah, that was my next one. Daniel Jones.
I'm taking over
Geno
Dak.
Smith.
I'll take Geno. What?
Taking
3
Geno in that
rounds
offense.
later.
Oh my gosh, yes, yeah. I mean, it's 115 to 105, so 10 picks. So
okay, that's not.
There's a whole
then
bunch.
I'll take.
But then even Russell Wilson, like 2 or 3 rounds later, I'll take Russ.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jared Goff.
50-50.
That's when I'm more comfortable taking Dak.
That's when I'm targeting the stack. Whichever wide receiver I have on my team, I'm taking that accompanying quarterback.
Yep.
Malik Willis.
Yeah, good one.
Our point is there are lots of guys around him that we like a lot more than Dak. So given his price, we're not going to be drafting a whole lot of Dak for our quarterback position. And the next guy's Pat Freiermuth.
Pat Freiermuth at tight end 10. And honestly, when you look at Pat Freiermuth and his fantasy production, 56% of his games last year, he was a tight end 1. But we're talking best ball. Yes, he's finishing as a top 12 tight end in 56% of his games. But if you're producing as the tight end, 7, 8, 9, that's really that valuable. He scored 16 or more points in 0 of his 16 games last year. So honestly, when I'm looking at Pat Freiermuth at tight end 10, he's not a horrible value. He's a good tight end if you're looking at your average redraft league. Like, I'm fine with him being drafted as tight end 10 if he's going to give me half his weeks he's at tight end 1. But in best ball, I would rather pass on Pat Freiermuth and take 2 or 3 guys that are replacement levels in the late rounds, and they have just about the same upside to give you 15 points per week.
Yeah, even wait a round or 2
of them in best ball.
Wait a round or 2 and take Dalton Schultz.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next up is going to be Alexander Mattison going at RB19 on underdog. This is all about the price. I think he's an intriguing prospect, an intriguing guy that you could invest in if you wanted to, but I'm fading him everywhere I can this year. I think the risk way outweighs the reward this season for him. While he's showcased some high upside in the few games he's played in his 4 years in the NFL, it's not enough of a sample size for me to really apply that to him having a full workload throughout the entire season. How efficient is he going to be? What's he going to do in the passing game? What is he going to do, period? In an offense that passes it more than most in the NFL with Jordan Addison, with the GOAT Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson. Like, I don't know how much they're going to lean on the run game this year. And ultimately at running back 19, there's just too many question marks for me to be investing in a guy that, some people are taking as their first or second running back off the board in underdog drafts. And I'm pivoting to players. I'm pivoting to running backs that are more proven than him. Sanders, a bit more proven than him. Damian Pierce, in an offense that doesn't pass it or won't be passing it nearly as much as the Vikings will. Kenneth Walker, who, even though they draft another running back, I'm taking Walker over Alexander Mattison because he's proven. Aaron Jones, proven. Just taking all those guys over Mattison.
Yeah, and Cam Akers is going to be the next guy on this list. And look, Cam Akers is the definition of getting warm body carries in a completely depleted offense. The primary appeal, however, with Cam Akers is that he would be a warm body getting a lot of carries if Matt Stafford remains out. And that's, like I said, going to be the main appeal with Cam Akers, because if Stafford is out, then the passing game is pretty much worthless in LA, which would, honestly, if we don't talk about this enough, that would suck for Cooper Kupp. But it leaves 20 or more carries a game for Cam Akers to play with. He posted a top 24 finish in 5 of the last 6 weeks last season after Stafford went down. And he even was the RB1 overall in week 16. He had 3 goal line touchdowns to help him do that. But he was so bad. He was so bad the first 12 weeks. Remember when they tried to trade him and they literally could not trade him? Like, people just forget. People are just ready to jump on the Cam Akers train. I'm like, yeah, nobody wanted him. And that doesn't change his outlook this year. He's going to probably be the starting running back there.
He's going to get touches.
However, they literally started Darrell Henderson over him last year.
They cut him.
They cut Darrell Henderson.
If Akers were going in the range of like the 30s, then I would be more interested in his price, because there is some risk with Matt Stafford this year. But at running back 21, that's a foolish bet to make, just hoping that Stafford's going to be out of commission for a majority of the season.
It's foolish. He had 13 receptions last season total. So
and the same case could really be made for David Montgomery, going at running back 24. He's someone I don't have interest in as a running back 2. I would rather draft some guys way later. People are hoping David Montgomery takes over the Jamal Williams role in the Lions offense. Jamal Williams had 18 touchdowns last year, and I'm saying that's an anomaly. That doesn't really happen to anyone ever. Jamal Williams excels at the goal line. He did the same thing when he played with Aaron Jones in Green Bay. David Montgomery will likely not get that same workload. Beyond that, Jahmyr Gibbs is not DeAndre Swift. We expect Jahmyr Gibbs to be able to stay healthy. We're not going to bet on him having the same inconsistency, randomly leaving games early and leaving Jamal Williams to soak up the touches. This David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs is not the same situation. So when you're looking at the Lions adding Sam Laporta as a red zone threat, and you're looking at Jahmyr Gibbs likely being the healthy main piece in that backfield, David Montgomery is not someone we're interested in running back 24.
Again, those are 10 players we are fading everywhere in fantasy football for one reason or another. Let us know who you are fading in fantasy football. Drop in the comments and let us know. Do us a huge favor while you're at it. Like the video on your way down to the comments. You're just going past it and be like, oh, I might as well just like this video right here. And you also, if you haven't, might as well hit subscribe, because we're trying to get to 1,000, and you can help us do that, because I can only create so many fake accounts to subscribe to us. Just kidding. I don't do that. That would be worthless. But I might
3,000 to be exact.
Yeah. Yes, this is a fantasy.
You're the
video.
only real viewer. You, the one I'm talking to.
Click back, refresh. Click back, refresh. Anyways, flockfantasy.com/domain is where all of our exclusive content is. You get 30% off the site if you go there. You get our rankings, articles, databases,
Rankings.
I know. Ode to Dynasty Nerds. And also, we'll give you a personalized team review of your team if you sign up for the Mother Flocker tier using code domain. You'll want to do it. It is a fantastic value. Make sure you head over to flockfantasy.com/domain. Use our code there. Like I said, 30% off. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.